Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and this last week we've been spending time with the 2020 Acura NSX. Now this is Acura's amazing 573 horsepower, twin turbocharged V6 hybrid all-wheel drive supercar. And it really flies under the radar in just how amazingly engineered it is. Kind of like the first NSX back in the 1990s, it really wasn't all that appreciated compared to a lot of its performance contemporaries. You can see how dirty we've gotten it, driving it all over the state of Michigan here, taking it out to the track, out at Gingerman Raceway in South Haven, Michigan. Just look at it here in this beautiful red metallic. It's such an awesome shape for a car that's so wonderfully engineered and kind of more computerized than a lot of the other cars in its class. They really got the design spot on. There's not a bad angle on this car. The colors all work nicely with the dark red and the carbon fiber bits and the dark gray wheels. The handles that pop out there when you walk up to them with the key in your pocket. It really has been an incredible honor getting to spend time with this car, drive it in all sorts of different situations, really experience the bandwidth that the NSX provides. One part of the bandwidth that's not super large is storage space. So if you're looking for a Grand Tourer car that really allows you to pack a lot, the NSX might not fit the bill. We came back last night from our trip and really had to jam the luggage in here. We were able to do it, but we had to leave a few things behind and be a little strategic. So the volume's pretty decent. The trunk goes back pretty far on both sides, but it's not very deep, and you have this haunch right here that you kind of have to deal with. But you can see my filming bag is tucked in back there, so there's a decent amount of room. You can see the engine back there. This is number 02269, precision crafted by Performance Manufacturing Center down in Ohio. That's where these are built. That awesome 3.5 liter V6. Everything on this car just feels so quality. I mean, a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, why would you buy this? You just get a C8 Corvette, 60 grand, all good. They don't feel the same, they really don't. I mean, the Corvette, especially the $80,000, $90,000 models, it does have some really nice interior trimmings, but it just doesn't ooze the quality of build that this Acura does. And how often have you seen an NSX on the road versus how often you know you're going to see C8 Corvettes? In the cockpit, it's comfortable. We've spent multiple hours behind the wheel, both myself and Chris up at the Topher. Like I said, everything just feels fantastic. It looks great. It is a little, I don't want to say boring in here, but it's definitely not flashy, look at me, LED lights, bunch of technology, everything like that. It really is precision crafted. Everything's where it should be. It makes sense. It's very, very approachable. That's kind of the theme of this car, is it's an approachable exotic car. It's kind of the performance exotic car for the non-enthusiast. It's just so easy to drive in all sorts of different scenarios, even out on the track. It's not quite as raw and visceral as some of its other competitors. I know as an enthusiast, I would kind of prefer a 911 GT3. It just screams, that the flat 6 motor, naturally aspirated, just really makes incredible sounds, and the feel through the wheel and everything. That's kind of where my money would go at this price point. There are a lot of people who would much rather have this automatic transmission, very easy to drive, great gas mileage when you want it, and then when you want to take this out on the track or out on some beautiful country roads, mountain roads, it's just so easy to absolutely soar. So let's get it started up here, go for a drive, and talk about what it's like living with this amazing vehicle. So the car starts up in sport mode, but you can hear the engine just shut off. We're driving around as a hybrid. When I'm just driving around the city, I like to be in quiet mode. As a fan of EVs and as someone who just likes to save a little gas when I can and and likes to just enjoy kind of having the windows open and being outside, and I like just being quiet. So I appreciate that the Acura has this option. And I like that they don't call it eco mode. They call it quiet mode. But as much as I like cruising with the windows down, it doesn't work great for camera. So I'm going to turn the AC on, close the windows. Actually turn the fan down a little bit. The steering really feels quite good for electric power steering. It's well weighted. The weight changes in different modes, but it doesn't get absurdly heavy in Sport and Sport Plus and track mode. So in quiet mode, driving around like this, the hybrid system is going to emphasize giving power from the battery for daily driving and just getting away from stoplights, that sort of thing. When we're driving around in Sport Plus, it's going to work to keep that battery all the way charged up whenever we're just cruising around, so that when you go and give it the beans, you've got as much power as possible. And sport mode now. A lot of that sound you hear is actually piped in through the speakers. And in this kind of car, I don't really mind. I understand that this engine is soaking up a lot of the sound, exhaust sound, with the turbos, and I'd like it to be quiet and refined when I'm not on the gas hard. And then when I want it to be loud, let it be loud. So I know right now it says average fuel 18.3, but when I was driving around earlier, it just puts in on the highway for about 100 miles, averaged 23.5 miles to the gallon at 75 miles per hour. And then driving around the city, I was actually averaging over 30 miles to the gallon, just driving it easy in quiet mode. But I've got it in Sport Plus right now so that we can beat these people off the light, get up onto the highway. And you can hear in Sport Plus, the engine stays on even when we're sitting at the light. If I go down to Sport, engine shuts off, Sport Plus, back on, it's charging up that battery and making it so the engine is right ready to go when I need it. Trouble getting up to highway speeds, that's for sure. I love hearing the turbos come off boost. That little blow off sound. It's easier to hear with the windows open, but hopefully you guys can hear it. So now that we're up and cruising, I'm going to switch down into quiet mode. No adaptive cruise control in the NSX. Like I said, it is not a technological masterpiece in terms of the electronics and the gimmicks. Where all that money and engineering prowess was focused was the powertrain. And thrashing it at the track for an entire hot day, we can really see why. Everything is so dialed in and well balanced and just creates a really rewarding driving experience. I love the shape of the steering wheel. The materials feel excellent. It's grippy, it's thin, got carbon fiber on the top and bottom that feels great. It looks good. And when this car came out, it had been delayed after delay after delay. People were really like, well, when is this car going to be here? It was kind of announced and then pushed off for a long time. And you could tell that Acura really wanted to dial it in just right, and they did that. You might not see this car as often as you see a 911 or even McLaren's, kind of similar sort of cars, but that's not any fault of the car itself. It's almost more fault of the buyers. lot of people think they want more of a flashy, showy type of vehicle. But the NSX really probably provides what they might actually want, and maybe Acura's just not pushing it hard enough. I'm not sure. It would be easy to kind of feel like you're not quite getting your money's worth when you're sitting behind the wheel and not pushing this car near its limits. And when we're out on the track or when we're kind of carving through country roads, you really feel all $160,000 of this car. But kind of just sitting behind the wheel here, you're like, there are definitely other cars that feel more special. So I get it. Even if I don't agree, I understand. So I'll compare the differences in engine noise right now. So we're in quiet. We'll accelerate from 75 to 80. So that's quiet mode. Let's go into sport. A little bit louder, but not really too much. Now Sport Plus. So not only was there much more sound piped in, but it also dropped to a lower gear, so there's a little more engine noise in general. And it's not really a car that's always begging you to speed. You can sort of just putz around in this car and enjoy the comfortable seats, good seating position, comfortable steering wheel. It's got a decent sound system. Unfortunately, it's not reading my USB drive, and I don't happen to have my iPod on me today, so I can't do an official sound test on this car, even though I was planning on it. But for most of you, I can't imagine those considering buying the NSX are really going to make or break based on the sound system. But I can tell you it is pretty good, but you do deal with a lot of road noise and a decent bit of engine noise as well. So there's competition in the against the speakers, but there's a strong subwoofer back here, and it does sound better than a lot of Honda's other systems. It's just so easy to crest that triple-digit mark in this car. Definitely going to want to have a radar detector. Brakes feel so good. You'll see that more when we're out on the track. But just stop after stop after stop, coming from 130 miles per hour down to 60. Just no fade. There's still a ton of meat on the brake pads after all day just running hard in the hot weather. And they feel pretty good, even for being brake-by-wire brakes. There aren't too many cars you get in that feel just as fast at 70 miles per hour as they do at 0. And what I mean is, from 0 to 60 or so, you slam on the gas and it's like, oh yeah, this car is fast. But then when you're up at already cruising at highway speeds and you press on it, well, it's got to kind of wind itself out a little more. This car, I'm going 66 right now. If I bury it, it pulls me back in the seat the way a lot of other cars just really can't manage at these speeds. Manual shifting works great as well. I can press the DM button and then do all the shifting myself. The automatic transmission is really quite smart though, and I don't usually feel like I need to. It's kind of such a well-calibrated machine. I usually just leave it in D, and the harder you drive, the more the car will react to that and shift aggressively accordingly. 60 to 0 stop and then a quick launch control start here for you. Now, to 60 in 2.9 seconds. And boy, does it feel like it. The NSX really is an incredible car, and it's one I'm going to remember for a long, long time. It's one of those ones that a lot of people don't get a chance to experience. So thankful that I've been able to, and I think a lot of people in this market really ought to check one out. It's got a little bit more exterior flashiness than maybe a 911 or some of its competition, but not quite as much as a McLaren or an entry-level Ferrari or Lamborghini. It's almost kind of like a budget Ford GT or 918 Spider. There's Chris over there waiting in the Lexus RCF. Also, I really don't mind having the button shifter. I think it really makes sense. It's easy to use. Why take up this big space here with a normal shifter, big column shifter or something, when this works just fine? Okay. Let's hop out and take one last look at this beautiful piece of engineering. I just love getting out and looking at these radiators here, these mini flying buttresses on the back. You know, everything's just designed for aerodynamics and performance in mind. That carbon fiber roof up there, it's a pricey option, but really sets off the looks. Even splattered with bugs up front. Still an amazing looking vehicle. Thank you so much to Acura for letting us spend this wonderful weekend with the car. It'll be interesting to see how depreciation hits this one, because you can pick up first gen NSXs for kind of around $40,000-$50,000 now, but they really have spiked in the last few years, and I don't know what's going to happen to those. But will the same thing happen with this gen NSX? I don't know. Things are really going to look interesting in our hybridized and fully electric car future. But I think this NSX definitely has a place in the books. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked the video, please hit that subscribe button. It helps out a bunch. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and we'll see you on the next one. Drive on.